going?
I'm going to go and harvest the potatoes.
We're growing potatoes?
Yeah, did you not notice?
No, where are they?
They're outside in the 2 cardboard boxes.
We're growing potatoes in a cardboard box.
Yeah. Don't look at me like that. It's actually an ingenious way to grow potatoes in a small space. All you need is a cardboard box, some soil and a couple of potatoes. No fancy raised beds required.
Okay, sounds interesting. Tell me more.
I'll tell you what happened from start to finish.
Okay.
So all it started with was a couple of large plain old cardboard boxes. You don't need anything more to get started growing your own spuds. You might think a plain old cardboard box wouldn't be strong enough to last a distance, especially in our temperate climate, but you'd be surprised as you'll see. I put my boxes on this spot of the lawn, but if you don't have grass, then the boxes can just as easily go on concrete or patio. This is the beauty of this setup. You can more or less grow anywhere. And this spot gets a good amount of sunshine, and that's important with growing spuds. They need a good 6 hours of the good stuff every day. Since there was a lot of soil going in, I folded the flaps inside to make it more stable so that it wouldn't collapse once it was full. Then I filled the box about halfway with Sheffield Made Gardens' very own soil mix. Don't worry, it's nothing too special, just a mix of compost and perlite, about a 70-30 ratio to keep it nice and airy while giving the spuds what they need to grow. Once it was in, I firmed it down gently, just enough so it wasn't loose, but not so much that it compacted the mix. And that was it. Box prepped, compost in, ready for the potatoes. Now I chose to plant proper seed potatoes. You can use supermarket potatoes if you like, but seed potatoes are specifically grown for planting, so they're disease free, which means you're much less likely to end up with blight or rot. Plus they tend to give you stronger plants and a better harvest overall. So seed potatoes are just a lot more reliable. You can easily pick a whole bunch of different varieties from your garden centre. I've gone for 2 different varieties, Sharps Express in one box and Rocket in the other. Both of these are classed as first earlies, which means they mature quickly and are usually ready to harvest around 10 to 12 weeks after planting. Because they're both new potatoes, I'm not really expecting them to be huge when we do come to unbox them. Usually the seed potatoes you buy aren't chitted, but you can easily do this yourself at home before planting. Chitting just means encouraging the potatoes to sprout before planting. The sprouts, called chits, are those stubby little shoots that grow from the eyes of the potato. To do it yourself, just leave them somewhere cool, dry and bright, like a good windowsill, and after a couple of weeks they'll develop short shoots. So I pop the potatoes in the box with the chits or sprouts facing up, and that's important because those shoots are what grow into the stems above ground. So you want them to head in the right direction, not have to do an assault course to find their way. I spaced them about 20 centimetres apart, and in this box I managed to fit 4 comfortably. But don't get too vexed on that though, just get them in. Then I covered them with about 10 centimetres of the compost mix, just deep enough for the sprouts to come through and the spuds to stay below the surface. And that helped hold the box flaps down too. Next, I scratched in a bit of blood, fish and bone to give them all the nutrients that they needed. Gave it a really good water and left the box to bask in the sun. After the first soak, I watered them whenever the soil felt dry, which was about twice a week. Cardboard actually holds onto moisture surprisingly well, which helps keep the compost damp around the roots. At the same time, it still drains freely, so excess water can escape and the potatoes won't end up sitting in soggy soil. Not much happened for a couple of weeks, and I kept going out to see if the new shoots had started to show their face. I was a nervous wreck. But on week 3, there they were. The first green shoots poking through the surface. It hadn't all been a complete waste of time. Phew. Sharps Express was the first to appear, but Rocket wasn't far behind. It looked like all the potatoes I planted were coming up, which was great. By week 4, I couldn't believe how much they shot up. My babies were growing up fast, and most importantly, the boxes were holding up nicely. At week 5, when the stems were about 15 to 20 centimetres tall, it was time to hill them up. Hilling up sounds a bit weird, but all it is adding or hilling up compost against the stems of the plant. This encourages more spuds to grow along the buried stems. Plus, it stops the potatoes that are near the surface of the soil going green, and green spuds are toxic. Now ideally, I would have healed them up again a couple of weeks later, but what with 2 kids, one with a broken leg, life got in the way. Now miraculously, the weather was well and truly on our side. All over the news there was talk about how it was the driest spring since 1976. And this meant 2 things. 1, I was pretty much out every other morning giving them a drink, and 2, the boxes were holding up surprisingly well. But, as the UK weather tends to do, it was all about to take a turn for the worse. Stormy weather was forecast for the next couple of weeks, and I was worried that my DIY raised beds would become a muddy mess. Fast forward to week 7, and you might just be able to notice that one of the boxes has been taped up to within an inch of its life. This wasn't the heavy rain, no, this was your boy attacking it with a strimmer. So tape was needed to avert a disaster, but the other box is just fine. Although the boxes were looking a little scruffy, the plants were looking fantastic. Lush leaves, strong stems, and even some flower buds starting to form. Flowering is a good sign that the potatoes are forming beneath the surface, but if your plants are not flowering, it doesn't necessarily mean that potatoes haven't formed. My Sharps Express flowered, but the Rocket didn't. But I'm pretty sure there are some potatoes in both boxes, but I guess we'll see soon enough.
Oh wow, look at these.
Yeah, so here we are, and thankfully everything has survived the 11-week journey. It's time to get stuck in and have a good look. So how do you know when they're ready to harvest? I mean, you have no idea what's actually going in the soil, right? Well, for first early potatoes, you want to wait until the stems have begun to flop over, but they're not completely dead. 10 to 12 weeks after planting is a good rule of thumb. Now this is shorter than main crop variety, so it's worth checking the variety you have. Now the trick is to avoid harvesting them all at once. They're thin-skinned and full of moisture, so they don't store particularly well, maybe like a week or so in the fridge. So they're best eaten fresh, straight from the soil to your plate, which means digging them out as you need them and not all in one go. But try not to leave first earlies in the ground much longer than 12 weeks, or they'll start to lose flavour, become floury and be more likely to rot or get eaten by slugs, flushing all your hard work down the toilet. So let's get them out.
Okay.
All right, let's get cracking then, eh?
Okay, what's in box number 1? What variety is this?
To be honest, I think I've lost track of which variety is in which, but we'll put it on the screen what variety this is when we've had a look.
Okay.
Just rip open the front.
Okay.
That's put
Ooh,
there,
look
isn't
at
it?
that.
Look at that.
That's a good shot. What do you want me to do? Just pull it away?
Yeah. First potato.
Oh, potato number 1.
Tiny
Are we going to
little
count
thing.
them all? Oh, look at that one.
Ooh, juicy.
That'll
There you go.
feed one of our children, maybe.
Should we pull these leaves?
Yeah, is it all right just to give it a yank? That's not going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Looks like we're getting a decent harvest.
Yeah.
We'll get a couple of dodgy potatoes like that. Not sure what's happened there. I'm sure it's edible. If you're lucky, you might find the seed potato still in there. And when I say lucky, I mean unlucky,
Why?
because it's a horrible, slimy, mushy mess. So I'm hoping that you're going to find all those and not me. So there's a good few potatoes in there, isn't there? But like I mentioned earlier, they are... Oh, here's the seed potato. Catch. As I mentioned earlier, they are new potatoes basically. So they are going to be small, but these are a good size. There's a fair amount there, isn't there?
Yeah. This one looks good. A few here. Is this about what you expected, or just
Yeah, I
a few
think so.
more?
I think so.
That's your seed potato.
Look at that.
You better not throw that at me, or I quit. Can we use that cardboard box for another batch? Or is it's had its day?
It served its purpose. A few red ants as well.
Oh, nice. Get out of the way.
We always get red ants in this garden. So that is our harvest. I think we'll weigh them Shall we weigh them?
Yep.
And we'll put it on. We'll come back and we'll show you how much we harvested out of that box.
You can make a guess now how much you think they weigh, and then you won't get a prize.
And we'll compare it to box number 2.
Yep.
So this is the one that's been taped up.
Place your bets, more or less.
I reckon more. Let's open sesame again. All right. Ooh. It's always a good sight, isn't it? Seeing lovely fresh potatoes like that. It's like Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah.
So these ones are more
Oh, loads of ants.
oval shaped. Oh no. Probably going to get bitten by red ants.
There's some really gnarly ones in there.
There's the seed potato. Slimy. Look at that. It's a nice, beautiful one, that. Nice and healthy. Nice and organic. No pesticides were used. That's why we got all ants and all sorts in it.
Yeah.
Starting to think that this might be a bigger harvest, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you reckon that's the ants burrowing into the...
Yeah.
There's a couple of suspicious looking holes on that one. Okay. So I think that's all of them harvested. Okay, so it's time for the great weigh-in. Got our potatoes ready. Got a pen and pad because I'm liable to forget. So we should start weighing them. Looks to me like Sharps maybe is the bigger harvest.
Yeah.
But
I
we
mean, they're
shall see.
bigger.
Yeah.
There's probably less of them, but they're much bigger. You in? Right.
So what's that? 2.3 kilos, which is £5.
£5 on the money.
£5 on one, we'll say.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
There you
What
go.
can't speak, can't lie. So that looks like, what? 1.9.
900, 1.9. 4.4 pounds.
4.4. So there you have it. Sharps was the bigger harvest. I don't know what that tells us, but it tells us something. So if you've got a box with a bit of space outside, have a go at growing potatoes. It's dead easy. And let us know in the comments if you grow veg in any unusual containers, because we're always looking for some inspiration.
And if you do have the space, raised beds are a brilliant way to grow potatoes. And if you're still on the fence about starting your own, then watch this video next. We'll show you the easiest way to build raised beds, no topsoil, no logs, and absolutely no digging.